Hello and welcome to Feel It Friday, another inspirational common unity collaboration show. My name's Mark Abadi. We've can't come to you live, so we're coming to you recorded and then post live. Today we have a wonderful guest. We have the fantastic Shamanatrix Missy Galore, who's going to be sharing on activating hearts with music, fashion and art. Missy is a Shamanatrix of LOVEolution, a futurist cultural creative, a true age mystical messenger or mystic messenger, seeding primal wisdom of the future to harvest our best past now. As Marshall McLuhan said, most people live in the past, artists live in the now and create artifacts from the future. So Missy's life mission is growing peaceful, loving culture, and as our culture dissolves and reforms, letting and elevate from the grids to benefit all. Her main goals are to empower heart wisdom, emotional intelligence, and spiritual alchemy, so we as humans can remember why we're here on Earth, to learn and to share love, personal transformation, inner child empowerment and healing, cross-generational PTSD. Her second goal is also to grow grow the culture of LOVEolution on a societal scale, humanity awakening to our interconnected living universe. We are the shift of ages, age of Aquarius, rainbow warrior prophecy et al. The Buddhist rainbow body path, the heart math of my favorite healing tools. MissyGalore.com is a place you can find her. And so without further ado, let us introduce Missy Galore. Welcome, Missy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
So nice to have you here. And
what a gift, Mark. Thanks for holding space for our community with all these wonderful transmissions.
It's such
delighted to join you here today.
Such a deep pleasure. Oh, and I have to tell all my old friends that I deleted the space between my first and last name. So I'm not just Mark anymore, I'm Mark Abadi. So I go by my full incarnated Mark Abadi. Yeah, it's like a Sanskrit sounding name. And it's my whole name, so I thought, why not? Missy.
Embody the full, as a Shamanatrix Missy Galore, I understand the fullness of form that needs to be born.
Exactly. So tell us what is a Shamanatrix?
Well, Shamanatrix is really about direct connect to the infinite blessedness. So we're all familiar with the word shaman and that beautiful animist practice of connecting with the spirit realm. I've added the tricks from Latin to big up the feminine form. Let the gender alchemy take form and balance that masculine, feminine flow so that we know it's not coming through one side or the other, but through the portal of the heart. And often I abbreviate it as Shamanatrix with a double X. It's a little send out to our beloved Latinx community and this idea that this direct connect is beyond gender and form. It really is the one heart of creation beating in infinite fractal formation. And the more we recognize this and come into coherence together, the better we can live together as a healthy society with goals and visions that are really aligned to serve and benefit all.
I see. So what do you do on an everyday basis as a Shamanatrix? What does a day look like?
What does a day look like for Shamanatrix? It's like waking up with some beautiful hot liquids, giving thanks for the gift of creation and the breath of life that articulates this physical form, making creative offerings and music and art to inspire and promote the culture of peace and love together. And as well, I love to kind of merge and study unified physics and metaphysics and find those cohesive threads through the fractal of life and shine that connective thread as a golden cord.
Now,
the people.
Now, my brother would say that's just being a hippie in California.
Yes.
So
it's, there's infinite fractals to the one, Mark. So it's like, if you want to be a peace and love hippie, that's really great. You know what I mean? If you want to cook some really beautiful food and nourish yourself and feel grateful for life, that's also just as empowering. And people who serve the love mission in so many different ways, and so we don't want to limit ourselves to a particular lifestyle or dogma. This is beyond that construct. I think in this time we really need to see what our commonality is beyond monotony. We're no longer here to build a culture where everybody looks like everybody else, everybody acts like everybody else, and you got to just follow along that program. In this true age evolution, we understand that every soul is super blessed, no matter how you choose to express. And ours is to be the change that allows that unity and diversity.
Right. So is that's part of the art creative output that you do, is to inspire people to find their own expression?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to be creative in whatever way feels good for you. And take that power back. Many of us have been brought up really socialized in this culture of go to public school, get your 9 to 5, answer to other people. Look at even this COVID experience, how they can express like essential and non-essential jobs. I mean, putting aside the need for quarantine, this sense that we can reduce what is necessary to the most basic, and yet what are we doing to those people we deem our necessary workers? They're often in the lowest paid positions. Right. And we see that, yes, the promise of the Industrial Revolution has been realized. We are amazingly powerful creatures that have liberated ourselves from just the basic chase for survival. Right. And what really fuels our culture and what can fuel a very powerful, abundantly sustainable society is allowing our creativity to grow as an economic engine in whatever the way that is. So whether it's people doing performance and dance and coming together in that way, in sports and making their clothes and making their great food and holding space for the good community center, we really can feel that presence. I certainly do, of the vitality of what it means to come together and share as people, and how important it is to our lives.
Right. Should we show your video clip?
I would love to.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna show that. Let's see. I should be able to. Here we go.
Shamanatrix Missy, Galore on the mic, ready to fluff it up.
Okay, and you're playing fluff.
Fluff the goodness, fluff it up, fluff the goodness, fluff it up, fluff the goodness, fluff it up, fluff the goodness. Fluffing the goodness takes constant attention. Goodness itself has no form or dimension. It's always moving around and tight. The more you fluff it, the better the vibe. The more you fluff it, the better the vibe. The more you fluff it, the better the vibe. The more you fluff it, the better the vibe. fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Fluff up your good, good stuff. Fluff your stuff till it's buff. Share your fluff and light it up now. Come people, fluff it up. Thanks for watching, beautiful. You can download free Fluff the Goodness Bliss tones at my Missy.
Ta-da!
Wow. Okay, so that was a Fluffmatrix experience. What? So this whole fluff process, it's what are we fluffing?
We are fluffing our auras for sure. You know, sometimes life gets tough. It treats us rough. Here's my softball caught at ya. So we gotta fluff it up.
So this is it. I mean, it feels very like childlike. It feels like it's accessing parts of my childhood.
It's a true inner child empowerment mission. And you know, what's interesting about growing up and aging with wisdom and grace is, you know, not only are we learning all these life lessons, but how do we, when we go through these challenging experiences, for me, a big mission was that I still aged with the happiness and the glee that I feel is the human destiny. And I've been through some pretty strange times. Before I wrote that song, I was still living in New York City, my hometown, and it's very involved in social justice organizing and trying to move the needle towards love and light, even in our political life. And we know there's a lot of push and pull that comes through there. And as well, I had a very surreal experience where the person that I was in a relationship with for several years, and God, how do I cliff note this story just real fast? But you know, honestly, I lived through a traumatic experience where my lover was HIV positive and had been lying to me about it for 3 years. And we'd had the safe sex talk. We supposedly went and got our AIDS test at the clinic, but you know how you go in together. And it turned out it was a lie.
Wow.
And I had to face this very devastating thing that even though I was dedicating my whole life to doing good, I couldn't even trust the people right around me to do good for me.
Right.
And take me well. So it was a very challenging moment, what some people would call our dark night of the soul. And I felt that, and you know, there's that 3-month waiting period.
Right.
At the time where you take the test and you see, am I positive, am I negative, what happens to me, right? So there was a long waiting period in there, just ripe with potential, and the monkey minds can be very unkind in that land.
Yeah.
You can grasp on to a lot of destructive thoughts that seem like they're attacking the other person in the outside situation, but really they're the most detrimental to you, because happiness is our birthright, and things that take us out of that are out of alignment. And so I came to understand this as organic feedback from creation moving into a better situation. And when life gets tough, beats you down, we got the power to fluff it back up again.
So hold on.
It's up to us.
So you weren't
to
fluffy.
decide how we be.
So you weren't fluffy before this.
I was.
Or have you always been? Were you born
already,
fluffy?
Pleasure evolutionary, working for the LOVEolution. Absolutely.
Right.
But I think where it really helped me was that emotional intelligence and spiritual alchemy. And this sense, like maybe you might relate to this, or other people in the social justice world, we can get pretty attached and pretty dogmatic with what our ideals are and what our expectations are.
Yeah.
And that's great, and it catalyzes a lot of beneficial energies. But when things knock us off our center and we get thrown for a loop, it's up to us to determine the course that we choose. So in Fluffing, we are able to embrace the dark and light in totality and reach down into even those darkest, most compressed parts of ourselves and our life experience, and fluff that up light so the chi can flow and the bliss can grow. And that's how Fluffing goes. It is a heart calibration activation that can be utilized in any situation.
So, I mean, I can see some people's reaction to Fluffing as being like really rejectant, almost like, oh, that's childish. This is serious. We've got to really, like, I mean, I'm wearing a Romero t-shirt as it happens.
Right.
And, Romero's the nonprofit I was working with, Danny Sheehan, Danny Nelson, and Sarah Nelson. And of course, brilliant work they do, but it's serious work. And very rarely is the fluff involved in that serious work. And how does this relate to how effective we are as change agents, serious versus fluff?
Well, we are multifaceted jewels, so obviously it works. Reality is a nested fractal of experience. Whether we acknowledge it as that or not. So we are always working hand in hand. And believe me, I'm a big fan of your institute's work. I'm somebody who has lobbied my Congress people. I still call up my Congress people. I performed at the United Nations. I produced artivist festivals to bring community together around important issues and still really bring that to light. For me, an important piece that was missing in my activism was this ability to keep ourselves happy and remember what it is that we want this change for.
Right.
We don't just want this change to be like, yeah, back off, you suck. It's not about that. Right. You're actually looking for a situation where all beings can thrive. And working for social justice in that evolution is addressing those very, very deep imbalances in a real way. And the way that we know that they're wrong is because they're not allowing all people to thrive and enjoy life. They are pitting some people's pleasure against other people's right to exist. And that is out of universal integrity. Yeah. So this essence of coming back to the love and light, even when things are difficult in life, is for me very fundamental to our sovereignty as human beings. We deserve to be happy. Yeah. We're here to share love. Yeah. And maybe sometimes we need to get tough, roll up our sleeves and pull the hard punches per se. But at the end of the day, if we've given up a culture of love and kindness, we're missing the boat, and we're only, just tossing the compost a little bit. You're not yet planting the garden. Right.
It's almost like chasing our tail, and maybe even the analogy of, forgetting to smell the roses along the path.
It's true, and I know for me as an artivist, I experienced a lot of burnout because of it. I had ecstatic moments where we'd have like 150 artists and 15 people on our panel, and just so much cooperation and things going on with the community, and then feeling like, wow, why aren't we making change? Why can't we see the connection between political power struggles and environmental power struggles, and what water rights have to do with our right to life as spirit beings and as Earth citizens and as peace activists. Right. So that correlation there's just so many things that we're dealing with right now in this shift of ages. Look at how much is coming up for us. So by dissolving and reforming as a heartivist, I'm able to sustain my focus and attention in a much clearer way. And even when I'm addressing these injustices, I'm no longer self-identifying with them. And that's a gift that I am cosmically designed to share, because it's beneficial everywhere. We want to be aware of the world that we're in, but not as reactors, not as always chasing the experience.
Right.
We come back to our center, which is our heart, and think, what are the true values that we need society to live by? Why are we choosing them? And how can we make them stronger? Yeah. So for me, it's very, very complementary to both face the most difficult issues on a societal and personal level and still reclaim our joy. Life is a very complex journey, Mark. And we all have seen examples of people who age and they get bitter and they get atrophied in their feelings. And, you know, that's a valid experience. I'm not, you know,
belittling
here
it.
to judge anybody's process. And at the same time, I am here to put out the invitation that we can retro fluff our lives.
Retro fluff.
Yes, retro fluff. Go back to that horrible situation. Beam love and light to us, to empower us to come back to the happiness that's our birthright.
Right. Now that's something interesting that you said before, which was, you know, sometimes it seems like we're attacking another person with our anger, with our bitterness, with our rage even. I mean, you know, all these killings by police of unarmed black people, you know, but the notion is, but you said sometimes it seems like we're attacking other people, but actually it's attacking us. So this notion of we are injuring ourselves with our anger. So what is the way to best meet aggression, to meet an attack? Because I mean, MLK said, you know, love the enemy, and the notion of how we can best institute change. So how can we say no to that behavior, but with loving kindness?
You know, the very interesting, I mean, MLK, those are my birth initials, MLK. I came up very imprinted with that essence in my heart, mixed with a little, like, you know, John Lennon, Abby Hoffman, create the change in a positive way through loving culture. But obviously, these are some myriad of situations, and what's going on right now, people dealing with this systemic violence that is happening against people of color. It's I just feel like I have to say, you know, it would be disingenuous to say that there is no place for anger and outrage and frustration and disappointment, because the stakes are high. And this is our lives here. But that said, for me, the most constructive is to use these emotions as a catalyst for action. And when you are feeling like you're in a situation that's out of alignment like that, may that discomfort be that energy push that we need to move us to the new situation. Now, what we're seeing here with these riots is something, it's, you know, again, a fractal of what happens in our personal lives, but very often an issue comes up and something happens to us in our lives. We know it's wrong. We know something's going on. It doesn't feel right. There's an opportunity to course correct. If we don't go into that course correct, very often we see these lessons repeat, and the stakes get higher and higher, whether it's in a personal relationship or a societal relationship. And it's a very surreal time on Earth, 2020. So many things that we're dealing with that really feel like they're coming to a head, and that sense that, hey, we've been talking about this for so long. Why aren't we getting the results that we want? Why aren't we being heard and received the way that we want? This is a real push and pull struggle right now. And I feel for people in that situation, because they're literally dealing with life and death.
Right,
and that feeling
right.
of, am I safe moving around or
Right,
not?
right.
This is very big. And for the children, and that amazing youth march that happened, you know, just a few months ago, that amazing environmental justice show of unity that we experienced, and these kids came out and they said, what's wrong with you adults? And a lot of us adults were like, wait, we have been trying for so long. Like, please understand, we are with you. We are standing on the experience of our ancestors,
Of course.
looking to move forward.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I often say, you know, like, the power of now is beautiful, but to live in the now is not enough, because we're products of our experience. And these things that are coming up are things that are resulting from what's happening in this exact moment, as well, building on all of these experiences from the past. And what that means to us, and how we choose to co-create this now and build towards the future. So I would hope that in this very challenging time, where it feels like the splinters of division are growing stronger than ever, that as we recognize the problems, we also bring our focus and attention to what the solutions are.
Right.
So it's not just about acting out and getting people's attention, but really being able to roll up your sleeves like the she-hens do so beautifully, and, you know, so many wonderful souls getting into the nuts and bolts of life and how to set these wrongs right.
You know, of course, it's a difficult one. You know, neither you or I have this suffering of you know, having darker skin and being identified as these communities. Even though we're both Jewish, so we've got our history of, you know, racism and anti-Semitism in all of our. But we can blend in to the other whiteys, and we're classed as white somehow. But, all right, fine. Let's say we're white, and we certainly have the element of the white privilege and what have you. But it's like, how do we? Because of course, there's so much. You hit it right. There's so much fear inside the colored, black and colored and dark-skinned community that this stuff is going to happen to them, and so they're angry in response. Now, where does fluffing feature in this process of their trying to shift what's going on?
Well, there's, you know, 2 workshops that actually spun off of this Fluff the Goodness song. And one is about ecstatic aura fluffing and really elevating the love light. And another piece is about fluffing forgiveness. Right. And for me, the power of fluffing forgiveness and giving ourselves the self-love, a lot of times, you know, we want to face these situations head on and be strong enough to face it without getting embittered from it. And there's a selfish piece of forgiveness, of forgiving yourself for being in a difficult situation, of forgiving society and for showing up with this complex injustice. And this is just a personal, heart-nourishing, imagine it as superfood for the soul, so that we can maintain our sovereign control of our heart and our happiness. Right. And as we address the issue, we are not consumed by the pain that we experience. Right. And that's why I talk about retro fluffing, because this sense of trauma, real disappointment that happens on personal and social levels, it's real. And for many of us, we're brought up with that in our families. I know for me, with my family, I heard the story about where we came from in Europe. I heard the story about how people could come in and just like rape and rob and do whatever they wanted because Jews had no rights. That's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, my family flooded into America when finally the borders were open and Jewish people were allowed to travel. And I've had this conversation many times with people about, you know, how I can blend and maybe other people can't. Okay, fine. There's many facets of the jewel, and we've experienced a lot of hurt in our lives and things that we've inherited from this system that's affected our family, affected the society that we're in. So by being able to embrace even the most ugly part in love, that's how we get the unity to rise above into a new situation. Because battling out for control is what got us here. Right? One society conquering the other. It doesn't even matter which one it is. Fill in the blank. I was living here, people raged, threw me and my system out of alignment. Now we got to go through, people are duking it out for which one's going to be on top. We'll get nowhere that way. LOVEolution is a true solution because it allows even the most messed up parts to come back into the fold and be looked at in a totality. We can't separate ourselves from each other. So fluffing is a way to heal through these problems, nourish the heart spark, that we can continue to take action, be strong in our body, heart, mind, and soul, and show up in society and for our loved ones from that heart place.
Yeah, because it's not about rejection. The fluffing is not about like, oh, ignore that and focus on this.
Oh gosh, no. This is like what we were saying before. It's like, you know, there's a racial injustice. We want to point it out. People aren't listening. Okay, we're going to do a peaceful march. Oh my God, you're not listening. Okay, we're going to burn down a police house. Are you listening? You know, hiding your head in the sand is not an answer. And there, for me, is, you know, not value in the spiritual bypass that says, hey, if I can make my life great, forget you guys. I'm just here in my autonomy. We are part of one living ecosystem, of one living organism, in fact. And, you know, by acknowledging that and really engaging with the whole in a constructive way, that's how I feel we elevate the frequency. And I believe a lot of people on this show are listening because they hear the call. They feel like the Bodhisattva. They feel like the New World servers, like the Rainbow Warriors, like the people who are here to improve conditions and make life better in a profound way that lasts forever. So let us do what we need to do to maintain our integrity, be true to our hearts, and feel that love for all of creation. We are here in the potential for the age of Aquarius to create this unified society that incorporates the needs of the groups in a whole new system. And it's a bit of a power struggle right now. You can see it can go a lot of different ways. People can link up on the spiritual level, heart to the one heart, and flow in that love. You can also look at it as AI, connecting through social media, through the internet, through these other forms that are ultimately run and controlled by companies, even over governments, limiting what you get to see, determining what information you get, how you get, when you get it, who you see, what's going on, feeling like you're interconnected, but not missing that direct connect power that comes from the heart, from the autonomy of self. And that is very much necessary to rise above and break this cycle of cross-cultural, cross-generational PTSD.
What about this notion or the notion of fluffing the shadow?
Absolutely. That's why, I had said before, to fluff is to embrace the dark and the light. And that's, for me, the most ecstatic experience and the most difficult experience. And so also welcome in that shadow as the very womb of creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That darkness can be very challenging and feel like it's coming from a place of evil. It could also be the most loving, nurturing darkness in every moment of our lives. Like, so many things are going right, just to allow this body to exist and be animated by the breath of creation. And we have been brainwashed with this funny thing. Our society is so obsessed. And I mean, for those that are just getting to know me, I love unified physics. I'm a resident science foundation delegate. I'm, certified with heart math. I love how the lessons of our day are coinciding and merging with the ancient wisdom of spirituality. But we can't get confused that this system that says, well, if we can't see it and we can't measure it, it's not real. We only acknowledge what we can verify in our certain ways. We've seen how that has really knocked people off course. For example, that famous experiment in the 1800s where they tried to prove that there was an ether that connected everything. And their experiment failed and they couldn't make it work. And a lot of people just said, oh, okay, science, they've said it for sure now. There's nothing connecting us. We're a disconnected mechanical universe, and, just live with it. It's just random chaos. It just happens to allow all of this to exist.
Coherence, yeah.
Which for me feels absolutely absurd. Well, then come to be, you get 100 years later, the technology is better. People are able to replicate that same experiment, but with greater precision. And then they say unequivocally, of course the ether's here. We are all connected. Well, did that actually change the fact that we were connected forever?
No.
When science was saying, if you say the word ether, you're an idiot? No, it actually doesn't. So we got to be really careful with what we grasp onto and what we think of as solid and true. And now is our chance, and I invite everybody listening here, feel into your heart for what is really true to you, how you really believe that you deserve to show up in the planet, and how you most happily choose to express yourself with other people. This is autonomy. This is being an adult. This is choosing to grow to the light.
So back to the fluffing the shadows, because in order to grow to the light, somewhere you have to respect the shadow. You have to honor the shadow. So when
lessons learned. Yeah.
So when we fluff the shadow, are we like fanning the flames? Like, let's say I'm angry. What do I do to fluff that? Like, when I saw the videos of this recent fucking atrocity, I was outraged and I was shouting at the screen, at the monitor. I fucking know it's a recorded video. I know that they can't hear me. I'm shouting at them. Now, I rarely shout at TV screens. But so what do I do as a seeming white man is different. But I mean, what do the people who are feeling this not only rage but fear for their own safety, how does one use fluffing to honor the shadow and move into the most productive output?
Sure, absolutely. I would say, I feel like I need the little disclaimer that says, what we can all do in these moments where the outrage and the injustice is there. I would say that's a really important place to be, to make your feelings known with your elected officials, calling the police departments, putting our energy into it, and very importantly, as really voting.
Right.
I think it's so important as humans, no matter how messed up this system is, it's here for us to participate, and we need to participate, people. If you think it's messed up and it sucks, and you're not voting to make it better, you're actually endorsing
Right.
what is wrong.
Right. It's kind of like the aligned action and the Jews and the Holocaust. You know, if you're not fighting the Nazis, then you're allowing them to occur.
We have to be really real about that. But now getting to the emotional place of being a person that is dealing with this kind of stress, and it's, you know, obviously, well, I mean, it just even seemed just like bringing my natural EFT to it. I think that people need to be okay understanding that they feel unsafe and that they feel angry, and really allow, you know, there's two techniques that come to mind. One is called emotional freedom technique, and that's tapping. Maybe you've had other tapping people on the show. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the tapping.
We've actually not had much tapping.
The tapping is you can be anywhere in your body.
Yeah.
Our body is basically an electromagnetic system, right? And so our nervous system is electrical, and as we're creating these hormones and these chemicals to determine our experience and our level of well-being, these signals are coming through us in looped circuits. So by doing the tapping anywhere in your body, and I'm showing some points here, but I want to emphasize really anywhere in your body, you're interrupting that signal. And so the main method to be actionable for you to be able to do this at any time and without me is just to even think, you know, that even though my society is so crazy and I don't feel safe walking down the street, and I love and accept myself. You know, all this violence that I can't control, and these people that feel like they're dying before their time. You know, I love and accept this situation. And by loving and accepting this situation, I'm not saying that this is okay and giving people permission. I'm just allowing my body to discharge the feelings that are so stressful,
right,
and so hurtful. And by giving yourself this tapping, you might notice in yourself when you're in an emotional experience, there's this feelings, I gotta put my hand in my heart. I just want to touch my face. Wherever it feels right to you, you know, just be able to sit with the complexity and in a sense of self-love. Now, why I keep emphasizing this self-love piece is that I found for myself in these situations that I can feel a lot of rage and anger, that I can't change it. And that even though I'm like doing what I can and, you know, been involved in creating these actions and festivals and parades and demonstrations and doing all this, I can't change everything instantly. But I want to be able to still remember that I'm a good person, you're a good person, you deserve love. What's happening is not right, but allow yourself to still give yourself the love. Don't let this core vibration get pushed aside by hate and reactiveness.
Right.
It will consume you.
Right.
And unfortunately, it feels like you're doing a lot because there's so much adrenaline and so much happening. But the question is, how constructive is it?
Right, right.
Okay, so now to come into the retro fluff in that difficult situation, you know, we'll just do a very quick practice where I invite you to just feel the real of what's coming up for you about this. As you're sensing this, start breathing into your heart Imagine that breath of life come right in and out of your heart. And now start visualizing what do you need in this situation? Is it a feeling of giving yourself extra self-love, extra nurturing, being that strength and protection to yourself?
I mean, what if the answer is revenge?
Share that with other people going through this situation.
What if the answer
we want
is...
to be able to merge the fields into a more loving potential. So when we come together in action, we can be effective.
But what if when people tune in and they ask themselves that question, what if the answer is revenge? I want revenge.
And that's one step of the process, and maybe that's where like primal screaming can come in. Whatever you need to just let the emotion out, vent the emotion in a safe way.
But what if you don't want to vent it?
You don't need to bottle it up, but what I would say is don't act on that revenge.
Right.
Remove that stress, like how when you're making a cappuccino and you want to take all that steam and put it in that milk, if you don't release the steam valve and let it go, you're going to be in a bad situation. People need to release that steam valve. That's not where you act on a societal level. That's where you act on a personal level to move past what we're experiencing. I'll just give the personal example going back to this horrible story, right? So I'm in this love relationship for many years. I've had the safe sex conversations. The person's lying to me anyway. Somehow I'm having unprotected sex. I'm feeling like I'm in this monogamous relationship. It's blowing up in my face. Holy shit. Okay. In those moments, there were definitely times where I was so angry and so focused on how awful this person was. I could go through all of the rage and the anger and the indignation and how I'm in this waiting period. Who am I? Am I HIV positive? Am I healthy? What's my life going to be? I've been so screwed over, blah, blah, blah. I'm lost in this spiral spinning round. What happens to this other person? Oh, by the way, they move on. They, keep working and creating great stuff. They enter into a new marriage. Their life is moving on. I'm here left with all this anger. I've done nothing to help myself get out of it. That's why fluffing was so important, because I had to be able to say, look, you were wronged, Missy. The situation is wrong. Fluff this bullshit. Forget
Fluff it up.
All of those things. But take that responsibility that my life is my life, and I can't live in reaction to others. I have to live for myself. And what is going to really change this on a societal level is when we're able to work together. And that means not only community of color, but community of color with the people in the white community that are their partners. And all of us maybe outside of the system finding ways to work with the system to shift it. It's not to say that it's pretty, not to say that it's easy. It's not a drive-through McDonald's where all of a sudden you get this instant fix that is just, a delusional thought. We have to be able to transmute it together. And I'm just saying, you're not wrong to feel those angry, outraged emotions, but don't cheat yourself out of your life by getting caught in that. Remember the truth of why you're here, of what this incarnation is really about, so that when you are setting for course correct, you are empowering yourself with the very best and not just spinning in the hamster cage that's been spun for us by a society out of alignment.
This notion of being able to love and accept something without saying it's okay, I think that's relatively alien to people. Like, generally people say, well, how can I accept it if it's wrong? So how do we offer love and acceptance, but at the same time simultaneously saying that behavior is not okay?
What a great question. Thank you for asking me that. This is really a super important piece of the puzzle, okay? By accepting it, it's not giving it permission to keep happening. It's looking at it with clear eyes. It's really understanding the truth of what's happening from a place that is, yes, this is from my experience, this is from the greater human experience, and being able to, from this state of recognition, make really effective, powerful decisions. I'm not sure if you're familiar, everybody listening is familiar with that amazing work called Power versus Force and the kinesthesiology testing.
It got mentioned yesterday, actually, on the show.
Oh my gosh.
For the first time.
It's such amazing work. And it's definitely written in a super chunky,
right,
egghead way, but at the same time, what has circulated through society is this chart of emotions and their vibrational states, right? And acknowledging that we are all in one living organism, one little ecosystem that we call life. This vibrational field affects us all. And our life experience is a process of many of these emotions and experiences interconnected. And for me, I will say the foundation is, I do believe that life is love, that the cosmic urge that created this experience of 3D reality is actually an entire fabric of love together, right? And unconditional love means you are loving no matter what. So that's loving the very best thing that happens and the very worst thing that happens too. Think about it with a parent's love and a child doing something wrong, but you're still gonna love that child, and if you say, hey, that's wrong, but let me help guide you towards a better way. And on this chart where anger, you're kind of starting fear, anger, aggression, you get started like a frequency of 20, 100, 200. These are the more complex emotions. And when I think of that lower number, I think of that's life compressing us and us kind of emotionally shutting down and doing that self-protection that comes when you don't feel right and you spiral down and get more caught up in that energy. Well, as you go up this spiral, what some people call the drop of joy technique, you see that all these emotions are related and biofeedback. Love sits around 600 at that level. And above love, if you can learn to embrace everything in love, even when it is ugly and it sucks, but embrace that in love, recognize that we're all part of it, that we are co-creators and also responsible for making this situation better. We really use that interconnected love in the exalted way, and that's when we jump up to the next level, which is peace, vibrating at 700.
Right.
Can you know that life is good and bad, happy, sad, still be peaceful with it? Now, once you get to that level, can you get to that place where even though you're dealing with this complexity, you're still able to be joyful, still able to be connected to that amazing gift of life that we're living, to understand that no matter what it is, it's still a gift of experience. These are lessons learned on the path. These are ways that we're growing together. These are opportunities to seed the grid so that all may live now into the future better and better in a happy way. That gets you right up in that next stratosphere. And by being able to live in that place, then you come into that opportunity for what some people call our enlightenment or our awakened state, which is being able to live our day-to-day reality from the juiciest, sweetest place, deal with our difficulties and still maintain our happy grace. This emotional intelligence for spiritual alchemy is so vital to the quality of our lives. And it's important that we remember to claim that for ourselves, because we're the ones we've been waiting for. There's only so much we can affect in the outside world as an individual. Which is why we need to both do what we can do for ourselves. Peace worldwide starts from inside, and then also give back as much as possible. Unify with compassion. You know, I do believe those police officers should be charged. It's a crazy experience. But, you know, I don't think that they need to be executed. That's not any better than some kind of crazy lynching. We have to create a place in this world where we can grow together past this difficult experience into something better. And right now we're being played off of each other in so many ways. Obviously this race situation is up hugely because of what's been happening, you know, not just with that murder, people shot in their homes, and just a bunch of crazy things have been happening, you know, in the past month and years. But as well with COVID, this sense of, I know what's going on. I'm the one with the truth. No, you people are crazy. No, you people are crazy. No, I'm the right one. You're the wrong one. You're too right. You're too left. Okay, we got to figure out who we are and really get pragmatic with how we acknowledge what's going on in this world. But again, you know, let us be the ones to see that as co-creators of reality, we've got to build the new model that makes the old model obsolete. And for me, I say, let's make that model sweet. And just as race and religion have been persecuted, honestly, cuteness has been persecuted for too long. Kindness has been trivialized for too long. It's not just that piece of divine feminine being squashed, it's that spark in all of us that says, I want to feel good, I want to feel kind, I want to love the people around me, I want to be treated with kindness. That's not an immature, childish behavior. That's actually totally elevated wisdom of the ages.
Wisdom of the ages. Wonderful. Missy, thank you so much. What a wonderful transmission. What are you doing of late? You're doing online stuff. I see you've got a conference soon with Deepak Chopra.
Yes, this for tomorrow night on the Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe. I'll be sharing a wisdom jewel transmission and featuring Deepak Chopra and Carolyn Miss and Marcy Shimoff and JJ and Desiree Hurtak, and all kinds of amazing people. I'm really grateful to be in constellation like that. It's stewarded by Deborah Juicy and Scott Thomas of the Love Coach Academy and Harmony Connects. I've also created a group called The Cosmic Yum on Facebook.
The Cosmic Yum?
Actually, please visit me on my site, missygalore.com, and join my list so we can have direct connect of the blessedness. I create heart activation catalyzations and inspire with music and art. I also design these clothes. This is one of the shirts that I made. It's available in my online store. Some cosmic prayer wear that can support my mission. And I'm also working on a really beautiful project with some girls, created some galactivated kids content to help grow this culture of LOVEolution to the next level. And for people who are really struggling in life, I know that things get complex, and I'm not here to oversimplify. I've led a very intricate life myself. For a select few, I do one-on-one
Fluffing.
Fluffoaching. Help cheer you on and transform your personal LOVEolution.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Shamanatrix Missy Galore, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and sharing your your insights and your wisdom, which at first, might be seen as just play, but actually there's a deep-seated integrity to it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mark. Thank you for this opportunity to share.
Thank you. Love, love, love.
Giving love and cosmic hugs to everybody, everywhere. Viva LOVEolution.
Absolutely. I'll just close out the show. Thank you, Missy Galore. Much love. Wow. So at first sight, this notion of loving the enemy, this repeated thing, it's not agreeing that it's okay. It's first freeing ourselves from the addiction and from the pressure response. So we have an ability to respond from an integral place which accepts both the shadow and the light. Because if we just behave from the shadow, we are skewed. And then we come at it skewed, and then it becomes us and them, and I'm right, no, you're right, no, I'm right, no, we're right, and it's just a battle, and it's a Arab and the Jews back again, and it's that same warlike, masculine, one side is good and one side is bad simplicity, when actually there is a quantum factor here that once we allow for and accept the divinity of creation, as the universe does. The universe doesn't judge that a planet exploding, killing all the people is a bad thing, or that a planet birthing and creating new life form is a good thing. The universe is just providing a space for acceptance. And again, from that space of acceptance, making a choice seems to be more integral, be more holistic, be more incorporated of the whole picture, and enables you, as Missy says, to look with clear eyes and choose from that place to align your action with your desires, with your intent, to have divine aligned action. That's what it's about. So accept the rage, accept the anger, accept the pain, accept the shadow, and fluff it with the light, so that together we have a holistic picture, a full beingness from which to choose our aligned action. Wow, great, thanks so much. I have a book, bookevolve.com, bookevolve.com. bookevolve.com. Such a blessing, such an honor to offer a reflection which can oftentimes be uncomfortable, but if we're courageous enough, courage with heart, if we're courageous enough to sit inside the sensation of it and allow it, then we become a holistic unit and thus more empowered. Thank you for watching. Please like, share. It's all about the shares. Lots of love.